Gajananam Bhutaganati Sevitam Kapitta Jambhupala Bhakshitam Umasutam Shoka Vinasha Karanam Namami Vigneshwara Pada Pankajam. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Friends, Namaste and a hearty welcome to one and all for today's 25th session of our series uniquely designed with an aim to lead us into an inward journey for discovery of inner strength and happiness. In short, DISHA through Bhagavad Gita, where our teacher shall explain one topic or concept, but from two texts, namely Bhagavad Gita and Tattvabodha. Today is a special day. As per the Gregorian calendar, it is the birth anniversary of Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishna. And this day is celebrated as a Teacher's Day. Let us remember all our teachers with gratitude. Coming to our day's session, in this first part of Dhyana Yoga, Dr. Sundar shall be explaining bahiraṅga sadhana based on verses 1 to 9 and verses 16 to 17 of the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. From Tattvabodha, the subtopic is conditioning of the physical body. Dr. Kiran shall introduce us to the day's topics and he shall highlight important aspects from today's presentation. The teaching quiz shall be presented by Srimati Rama Gopal Krishna, who has put this together along with Srimati Sukhanya Narayan and Dr. Sandhya Ravi. Srimati Pannaga Prasad shall commence today's session by chanting and explaining the well-known shloka Annapurne Sadapurne Shankara Pranavallabhe. Srimati Pannaga, please.
Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Today we shall understand the deeper spiritual meaning of a very popular and commonly chanted shloka. Annapurne Sadapurne Shankara Pranavallabhe Gnana Vairagya Siddhyartham Bhikshan Dehi Cha Parvati Mata Cha Parvati Devi Pita Devo Maheshwaraha Bandhava Shiva Bhaktascha Swadesho Bhuvanatrayam. We'll understand the word-to-word meaning of the shloka. Annapurne, salutations to O Mother Annapurna. Sadapurne, to you who are always full with a gift of food and blessings. Shankara Pranavallabhe, you who are the beloved of Lord Shankara, that is Shiva. Bhikshan Dehi, O Mother Parvati, please grant me the alms of your grace to awaken within me self-knowledge, gnana, detachment and freedom from all worldly desires, vairagya, and to realize moksha, siddhi. In the next shloka, this we understand. Can we go to the previous slide, sir? Yeah, in the next shloka, we understand that the shloka teaches us to worship the entire world as the Vishwarupa of the Lord. So it is Mata Cha Parvati Devi. My mother is O Lord Parvati. Pita Devo Maheshwaraha. My father is Lord Maheshwara. Bandhava Shiva Bhaktascha. My friends are the devotees of Lord Shiva. And Swadesho Bhuvanatrayam. My residence is all the three worlds, whose Lord is none other than Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati. The next slide. Though this very popular verse is chanted before partaking of prasada in the form of food, its deeper meaning signifies a spiritual seeker who wishes to be fulfilled by the alms of Atma Gnana. By chanting it 3 times a day, we realize that our goal is not just to satisfy and feed our stomachs, but to feed our spiritual journey so that we may progress ahead in life. The shloka nudges us to move beyond the limits of Nama, Rupa, Desha and Kala to realize that there are no others in this creation. We are the all-pervading, one and only existence consciousness principle. Aham Brahmasmi. Hari Om. Thank you.
Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyama Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara. Hari Om, Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome. In chapter 6, or what is called as Dhyana Yoga, initially it starts with the continuation of the 5th chapter, but the main subject matter here is meditation and preparation for the meditation. Many of us know the technique, how to do it, but we don't know the goal, what we want from the meditation and the purpose of meditation, why we need to do it. And hence, they reach nowhere and they try different techniques, that meditation, this meditation, etc. Here in the chapter 6, we have one of the most beautiful explanation and exposition of the purpose and how the meditation is done. First, we should understand what meditation is not for. Meditation is not for attaining moksha. Dhyānam alone is the means for moksha. That we should be very clear. And meditation is not prescribed for jnanam. Then what is the use of meditation? Meditation again is not for to get any extraordinary experiences. It is also not for Brahman experience. We have already learned Brahman is not an experience, it is I, the real self. He is ever the experiencer and never experienced, that is aprameya. Meditation is not an end by itself, but it is only a means. Then, what is the purpose of meditation? To get the required qualification, that is Jnana Yogyata Prapti. That is, we have to prepare meditation to attain the spiritual knowledge. This is called as upāsana or saguna ishvara dhyānam. When we meditate upon Lord Ishvara, Krishna, or any other like Lalita, Parameshwari, etc. This is called upāsana, that is mental prayer. And next is Gnana Nishta Prapti, that is once for assimilation of the self-knowledge. The self-knowledge is often, Osho says, is not to answer any questions. It is to wonder. It is to contemplate. That is how it is. So we use meditation to contemplate on the teachings. This is done after we have attained Shravanam and Menanam, that is listening for a length of time under a guru, and Mananam, that is we get all the doubts clarified and we are anchored in the knowledge. Okay, we have no doubts about it. Then this is called as Nididyasana or Vedantic meditation. This is slightly different from other meditations which are normally used just for attaining peace of mind and etc. And it is important for revising the habitual self-notion and opinions and removing it. And also to remove the habitual emotional responses. This is called as Viparyaya Bhavana. And to attain what is called as Jivan Muktihi, alert living or living the teaching. Jivan Muktihi is from knowledge alone. And this helps always to be anchored in that. I'll come to it. The five main topics which is covered here are Samanya Sadhana, that is the general preparation, how it is to be done before to do the meditation. Next is Vishesha Sadhana, that is the specific preparations needed for meditation. This occurs just before meditation. And third is Dhyana Swarupam, that is nature or process of meditation, how it should be done. Is it something, to get rid of all the thoughts? Is it destruction of the mind? Or is it transcending of the mind? What exactly is it? We will learn. And next, Dhyana Phalam. What is the benefit of this meditation or Vedic meditation or upāsana? Then Dhyana Pratibandha Parihara. There are always obstacles to meditation and their remedy. Whenever some of us, sit for meditation, we sleep off, doze off. And some, as soon as we close our eyes, lot of thoughts come into our mind. How this should be controlled. This is very clearly explained by Lord Krishna. And we achieve what is called as samatvam, that is equanimity, that is emotional immunity. When suddenly something unfortunate or what we like doesn't happen, happens to us, we will know how to react. We won't be suddenly carried away by something good thing which happens, or if something bad happens, we won't lose our thing and become very dejected. The mind, like an ocean in the deep, is always steady. Like that, our mind will become calm. And this can be done by karma yoga. The points we cover is, who is a real sannyasi? Whether the person was, taken formal sannyasi and that is, he should be called a sannyasi. What exactly is the real sannyasi? Can grihastha take up this? This is a very important question. As you see in this picture, this is taken from Merchant Ivory movie, householder, grihastha, that he wants to concentrate on something, his wife is disturbing. It is not that always wife disturbs, it can be other way around also. So can grihastha, which all our attachments to position and fame and relationship, can we take up grihastha? The clue comes from Lord Krishna himself and seeing his life. Next, who is a karma yogi? And the route map to achieve this, the path to the spiritual path to the moksha. And also, we will come across the key verse, Uddharatme Atmanam, which is very favorite of many teachers, and even many classes have been taken only on this one verse. This field. To explain to all that, we have our student, Dr. Sundar Ellor. He is a plastic surgeon and chief of plastic surgery in St. John's Medical College. Apart from that, he is a very ardent Vedantic student. His summaries are well known and well appreciated. So it will be a very good opportunity to listen to him about how he talks, what he talks about the first few verses of the chapter 6. I hand over to Dr. Sundar, please.
Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Thank you, Kiran sir, for introducing this chapter. So some things may be repetitive, but they give the benefit of reinforcement and also retention. So we have seen these 5 things listed as what the meditation is not for. So I will pick the explanation for why meditation is not for Brahman experience. So Pujya Swami Paramarthananda ji gives the example that light itself is invisible. I see so many objects in this room, but the light which is invisible need not be proven, because the very experience of so many objects around me is a proof enough of the existence of light. So if we ponder on this, we can also understand that the sentiency that is there within all of us is due to Brahman, and the very experience at every moment of the day I am having is a proof enough that Brahman is there. So meditation is not really required for that, because often a mistake done is to know or read about Brahman and then sit for meditation and try to experience Brahman. So that is a misconception we should not have. In the next slide, we come to the next part. What is meditation for then? So this is explained as a 2-step approach. So meditation is required before the study of scriptures, which is there in blue here. Meditation is also required after the study of scriptures, which is there in orange. So before study of scriptures, meditation is required because not anybody can take up to the study of scriptures. You require a prerequisite qualification. Jnana yogyata has to be there. And for the jnana yogyata prapti, meditation can help. So in this manner, it is useful for preparation. The name for such a meditation is called upāsana, and it can be on Ishtadevata. And this gives us the ticket for studying Jnana Yoga under a guru from the Shastras, because it gives us purity as Chitta Shuddhi, it gives us integration as Chitta Yoga, Ekagrati. Now, having qualified thus, having taken to study of scriptures, which is Shravanam and Mananam, we find that the Guru has revealed that I am verily Brahman, but my day-to-day life seems to be as miserable as before. I seem to lose my calm. I have anger like before. So this step, after the study of the scriptures, the meditation, which is now called as nidhidhyāsana, is very important for us to live this teaching, to enjoy jnana-nishtha and jivan mukti. So this second form of meditation, therefore, can be seen as an assimilation of the study of the scriptures. Now, in this next slide, let us have a bird's eye view of this entire chapter. So Swamiji has nicely organized for better understanding that there are 5 portions, which we have already seen. And the talk today shall focus upon the first topic, which is bahiraṅga sādhanāni, which was also described as general principles or samanya sādhanāni. So it is interesting to note here that we are in the 6th chapter of the Gita. Meditation is being introduced only after the first 5 chapters. And even in this chapter, which is named after meditation, the process of meditation, which is the dhyāna swarupam, is the 3rd topic. So there are 2 important topics which form a stepping stone, a basis before we go into meditation. Let us now see what is bahiraṅga sādhanāni. So we agree that meditation requires the mind. The same mind which we carry through the day, through our transactional day. And the mind is described as having a conscious as well as a subconscious plane. So a lot of disturbances may lie in the subconscious plane, and through a busy day, because of the busy activity at the conscious plane, these disturbances seem to be in the background. And often when I sit for meditation, when the conscious plane is now quietened, the emotional disturbances which were there in the subconscious plane gate crash, they tumble out and they disturb the meditative process. So bahiraṅga sādhanāni therefore are steps that we have to take throughout the day. We'll see later that antaranga sādhanāni are steps which are taken just before sitting for meditation. Whereas bahiraṅga sādhanāni are steps that we take throughout the day. The idea is to have a mindset, a tempo of the mind, which is suitable when I sit for meditation, so that such emotional disturbances don't tumble out and disturb the meditative process. So we see here that bahiraṅga sādhanāni are organized under 5 subheadings: samatvam, atma prayatna, atma kripa, jitātma, and yuktahara nidra swapna silasya. So we shall take each of them. So the verses are scattered in the chapter, and Pujya Swamiji has picked them to organize so that we have a clear flow of thought, clear understanding. So the first and second verses describe the first part of the bahiraṅga sādhanāni, which is described as samatvam, or equanimity, or equipoise. We see in this verse the first line, anashrita karma phalam and karyam karma karoti. They capture a karma yogi. Anashrita karma phalam is a person who is not dependent on karma phalam, meaning to say that he is not looking out or expecting a particular type of material benefit out of activity. So he does his activity, but he is ready to accept any outcome. And this we have learnt earlier as Ishvara Prasada Bhava. Karyam karma refers to the karmas that we are supposed to do. So this refers to Nitya Naimitya Karma, Panchamaha Yagna, And this refers to the Ishvara Arpana Bhava component of Karma Yoga. Therefore, the first line represents Karma Yoga. Now, such a Karma Yogi is being glorified in the second line to give us this message that Karma Yoga is an important discipline before I start my meditative practice. How does Krishna glorify? So Krishna is saying such a Karma Yogi is the real yogi, the yogi in the third quarter of this verse, as against an akriyaha. So look at a comparison between a grihastha karma yogi on one side and an ochre-robed sannyasi on the other side, who is not necessarily a sannyasi internally. So this understanding should be there. A karma yogi on one side and a sannyasi who is wearing ochre robe externally, but may or may not be a sannyasi internally. So in this comparison, Lord Krishna is telling the karma yogi, although he is a grihastha, he is the real meditator and not necessarily a sannyasi who is wearing ochre robe, akriyaha, not doing anything. But while he's sitting quiet in one place, his mind may be roaming all around the world. And then he uses another comparison to say that a karma yogi is the real sannyasi and not necessarily a person who externally may appear a sannyasi, referred by the word na niragnihi. Niragnihi means he literally doesn't have a kitchen also in his house where the fire is used. So a person may be sannyasi externally, but internally, again, as I said, he may have desires, his mind may be roaming all over. So Lord Krishna is telling, he is glorifying the karma yogi in this first verse. The second verse gives an explanation why Lord Krishna thinks that a grihastha, a karma yogi, is superior to a sannyasi, which we should understand that he is an external sannyasi, not necessarily an internal sannyasi. The reason he is giving is sankalpa sannyasa. So sankalpa is expecting a material result out of a prayer. So we have seen in the first verse that this grihastha, who is a karma yogi, does not have any such material expectations. He is anashrita karma phalam. So he has given up sankalpa. So Lord Krishna is justifying, telling that this sankalpa sannyasa is an important prerequisite if I have to sit for meditation. This grihastha karma yogi has that, whereas a sannyasi, merely because he is wearing an ochre robe, need not necessarily have sankalpa sannyasa. Therefore, he is justifying that a grihastha karma yogi is better suited for meditation than somebody who has externally renounced and wearing ochre robes. A question may arise that this chapter, which is titled Atma Samyama Yoga, and we have seen that this chapter fundamentally explains the second type of meditation we discussed, which is nidhidhyāsana and not really upāsana. This chapter is about Vedantic meditation. So one may wonder why this chapter, which is steeped in dhyānam, jnana yoga, in nidhidhyāsana, begins with a karma yoga verse. So the answer for that we get in the next verse, which is in the next slide. So there is a place for karma yoga before one is prepared for meditation. Therefore, karma yoga is being presented in the beginning verses of this chapter as a stepping stone for meditation. So although this is a nidhidhyāsana chapter, karma yoga prepares me for nidhidhyāsana. So that should be the understanding. So the first line, Aruruksho Muni, talks about a type of a seeker who is a beginner. That is Aruruksho Yogam. He is desiring a calm mind. He is desiring Chitta Shuddhi. He is desiring Chadana Sadhana Chatustaya Sampatti. So this verse says, for such a person, Karma Karanam Uchyate. So for such a person who is seeking Chitta Shuddhi, purity of mind, Samatvam, Karma Yoga is certainly a means. And then the second line says, Yoga Rudasya. So this describes a little more advanced seeker who has the Chitta Shuddhi already. So for such a person, the verse says, Samah Karanam Uchyate. For such a person, you can then drop Karma Yoga because you have got the end which the Karma Yoga can give. And now you can move on to Vedantic meditation where you drop Karma Yoga and then you contemplate on the self. So this third verse then gives us the perspective where Karma Yoga fits in the scheme of things. And it also gives a route map that you do Karma Yoga, get Jnana Yogyata, then get Jnanam, then do Nididhyāsana or Vedantic meditation, which this chapter stands for, and then get liberation. Question could be, when do I know that I have now got Chitta Shuddhi, that I can drop karma and then adopt or embrace Nivritti Marga and take to only meditation? When will I know? Because is there a hollow coming around my head? So the fourth verse kind of gives the tools for us to know that it is now time for me to give up the Pravritti Marga and take up the Nivritti Marga. So Lord Krishna says here, Yada, when. So this is setting up a clause of time when I can make the shift. Indriyarteshu karmashu na anusajjate. In the sense objects or in their pursuits, I don't have an obsession. So that is the rule. That is the rule that is set. What time I need to make the shift. So when the sense objects or their pursuits, there is no obsession. So I still do my duties with regards to that, but I am not obsessed with that. So Sarva Sankalpa Sannyasi. So this person who has that mindset where he is now no longer after sense objects or in their pursuits, he has given up all Sankalpa. And that person is being defined as Yoga Rudha. And that same Yoga Rudha was mentioned in the third quarter of the third verse as Samah Karanam Uchyate. So this is a kind of a litmus test verse. So with these four sets of verses, the Samatvam is covered. There is a fundamental thing to understand how Karma Yoga can give Samatvam, which can help in our day-to-day life. So when the moment we hear about Karma Yoga, all of us know that it is right action and right attitude. But the action itself is Jadam. It is the attitude all that matters. So we have learned that when you say right attitude, it has two components. One is Ishvararpanam and the second is Ishvara Prasada. So let us get to the basics. How Ishvararpanam can give me Samatvam, how Ishvara Prasada can give me Samatvam. So when I say I have the attitude of Ishvararpanam, then my entire focus is on that Arpanam and not really on the right action. So now I don't pick and choose between my time in a complex operation as being something nice or just taking a walk as something not nice. I don't do, because I am now doing Ishvararpanam with both those activities. So I don't pick and choose. So then it is not like some activities are boring, some activities are mundane. All that is gone because the focus is on Ishvararpanam. In this manner, Ishvararpanam brings me Samatvam at the level of the attitude to the act. How does Ishvara Prasada bring Samatvam? This is more easier to understand because we are taught that whether there is material success or failure, if I follow Karma Yoga, I am promised spiritual growth. Therefore, material result is subservient to spiritual growth. This has been taught to me. Therefore, I don't now pick and choose, or rather say, I don't accept some results and reject some results. So therefore, I have equanimity towards the material result. My focus is on the inner growth. So therefore, Ishvara Prasada gives Samatvam. On the whole, therefore, Karma Yoga gives me Samatvam. And this Samatvam as a bahiraṅga sādhanāni keeps my mind quiet when I sit for meditation. So Karma Yoga becomes important. Now Lord Krishna gives 4 more tools to have a calm mind. We shall see now in this 5th verse, the popular Uddhared Atmanatmanam, Uddhared atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva hi atmana bandhu atmeva ripuratmana. So there are too many atmas here, and none of them actually refer to the atma, and we just substitute the word atma with body-mind complex to understand this verse. Uddharet means literally to lift or to refine or to make well direction. What is being lifted or made well direction? I said atma is body-mind complex. So the verse is talking about lifting oneself up. And with what do we do? Then you have the second atma there, which again refers to the body-mind complex. So in Sanskrit grammar, one is in the instrumental case and one is in the objective case. So I am using my own atma to lift myself up. And the second quarter says the opposite. You should not do a disservice for yourself. The second, third, and fourth quarter says, thus, a well direction or refined body-mind complex happens to be my friend. And the opposite, that is not the body-mind complex, which has not been spiritually refined, is my enemy. So to put simply, this is talking about prayatna. So unless I put the effort, however much effort the guru puts, is not going to help. So even God will not be able to help us if we don't have the Atma Prayatna. And Atma Kripa is again in the same verse, it describes the self-grace. So if we don't have self-grace, then we cannot tap the Guru's grace or the God's grace. Now, the sixth verse is a continuation on the same thing, but we can see the previous slide, the word jitaha in the second quarter of the verse. So again, Atma doesn't mean Sachidananda Atma here. It refers to the equipment that I have, the upadhi that I have, which is the body-mind complex. So Atmana jitaha. So if I have won over myself, what does that mean? If I have the Indriya Nigraha, Mano Nigraha, Sadhana, Samadhi, Shatka Sampatti, if those things that I have, then Atma, Atmana Bandhuhu, then my body-mind complex is my friend. And there is a peculiar usage of the word Anatmana in the third quarter of the sixth verse. It is not a reference to Anatma, and it is a reference to Ajitatma, that is a body-mind complex which is not under control, which has not been refined. So such a body-mind complex is Shatru. It is my enemy. So these two verses then make, in addition to Samatvam, that self-effort and self-grace are important throughout the day, so that when I sit for meditation, I have mind with me. Now, the Karma Yogi is described as a open eye meditator. Meditation involves presence of God at all the time and an available mind to do this. A grihastha, he may be busy with several of the activities, several responsibilities, but as seen in these verses, when a grihastha becomes a Karma Yogi, he fulfills both these conditions. There is presence of God always, because whatever he may be doing, all that is part of Ishvara Arpanam or Ishvara Prasada. Therefore, there is connect with God all the time. And the second point, that mind is available, is very much true, because a Karma Yogi has got Samatvam, is a calm mind. Therefore, his mind is available. So therefore, a Karma Yogi is, although he may be in the thick of activity and so many responsibilities, he is no less than a person who is in the prayer room with eyes closed, who is also doing the same two things, that God is in his presence and the mind is available. The same two things are available for a busy Grihastha Karma Yogi as well. Now, in this next slide, the fourth of the bahiraṅga sādhanāni, which is self-mastery or self-integration, is focused upon. So there are very many parts to my personality, and for any venture to be a success, there should be a smooth harmony in all the parts of a machine. So in the same manner, now the focus is on getting the different personalities, the physical, emotional, intellectual, on the same line, on the same page towards my spiritual journey. So such a person is called a jitātmana, and such a person, prashanta, is the calm mind which is got from samatvam, as we have seen earlier. So this person has got samatvam, and he has a personality which all the parts of his personality are working together towards a spiritual journey. Now, such a person, the greatness is that, as we see in the third and fourth quarter, whether there is Sita or Ushna, whether there is Sukha or Dukkha, even if there is Mana and Apamana, his samatvam is not disturbed, because he is now able to take all experiences as Isvara Prasada. So he doesn't see a material failure as a failure for him in his life. He sees every failure as a successful failure, because spiritually there is inner growth happening. That is Lord Krishna's promise in several verses of the Gita. So this is what is the greatness of the bahiraṅga sādhanāni, that even in the middle of mana and apamana, my prashanta svabhava is not going to change. So I can sit for meditation even in the thick of controversy, and my mind is available to me. And then there is a great declaration by Lord Krishna here that for such a person, Paramatma samahitaha, he is established in Paramatma. Paramatma shines through him. Paramatma is evident for him. How does this happen? Because when the mind is thus available, then all the scriptural reading through Shravanam and Mananam, I can assimilate through the Vedantic meditation or Nididhyasana. And I am able to constantly revise my perspective from the body-mind complex on which so much mana-apamana is happening to the Atma, which is totally unaffected by all this. Karma Yoga, Upāsana Yoga, Jnana Yoga. So that is the same sequence that is elaborated through these verses. Now coming to the last of the bahiraṅga sādhanāni. So the fifth point is moderation, and moderation is about everything that we should not overdo or underdo. And here Lord Krishna picks up a few of the commonly things associated with most of us through the day, which is eating, activity, and sleep. So ati ashnataha and ekantam anashnataha. That is, either you are not eating anything or you are eating too much. So that is what we are being asked to check. Ati swapna silasya, that is too much sleep, and jagrata eva, that is you are too much wakeful. No, these are being negated. Lord Krishna is telling you need to have moderation with respect to food and sleep. There are no exact definitions how much we should eat, but Swamiji does mention that in between eating is not good, and we need to have an idea that 2 quarters of stomach is filled with food, the 3rd quarter with water, and 1 quarter is left free. The 17th verse describes yukta ahara, again moderation of food. Vihara could be rest, recreation, exercise, things like that. Chestasya karmashu, that is with respect to activities. So we are involved in professional activities, we have household duties. So with regards to that, we should be clear how much is less, how much is more. And swapna avabodhasya, again moderation should be with regard to sleep and wakefulness. And yoga bhavati dukkha, ha comes from the root which also is for hananam, that is destruction. Dukkha ha is destruction of dukkha. And if all this moderation is there, then yoga or meditation becomes a tool to remove dukkha or samsara. So these were the 5 bahiraṅga sādhanāni which we have to employ throughout the wakeful state to have a baseline tempo of the mind which is conducive for the process of meditation. Now the next slide is kind of a goalpost, although this comes in the set of the verses on bahiraṅga sādhanāni. It really is the end culmination after bahiraṅga, antaranga, dhyāna swarupam, and can probably seen in the or grouped together with the jnana phalam verses. Let us see. So vijitendriyaha. So this is the person who has the samatvam, who has purity of mind. He has integrated his mind also from what we have seen. Such a person then goes on to the, so in the red, sadhana chatustaya sampatti, that is what it is. He then goes on to 2 more stages, jnanam and vijnanam. So jnanam is during shravana manana, the guru uses the scripture like a mirror and shows that your true form is not really this body-mind complex. It is Atma that is shown. But this is still in the form of a paroksha jnanam, that I am so and so and I have a precious thing within me which is called Atma. This is the kind of thing that is there. Then comes the process of nidhidhyāsana, what this chapter stands for. And then this moves on to Vijnana Triptatma. So the knowledge is the same, which the Guru gave to me by showing the book as a mirror. But now it is no longer paroksha, it has become aparoksha. So this Atma is me. So you see, I am Atma and I have this incidental body. Temporarily it is there. And the same is with everything around also. So there is only Atma all around. So it's only Atma in the guise of so many things. It is Atma only behind. Just like that Brahmarpanam Brahma Havi verse in the 24th verse in the 4th chapter. That kind of a vision where he is seeing Brahman alone all everywhere. Whatever everything else is seen is Kevala Nama Rupa. Behind that is Brahman alone. So that person becomes kutastha. He can never be emotionally shaken. Why is that? Because this vision shows Brahman everywhere, and that pluricity or duality which is there is just name and form. Because you remove Brahman, nothing there, everything falls away. So therefore, what is therefore a mithya, which only Nama Rupa, how can it cause me emotional turmoil? So all the mana, apamana is name and form alone. Therefore, he is kutastha. And this verse says such a person is called as yuktaha. And such a yuktaha or yogi has got this uniformity of vision. Samalostasma kanchana. He is going to see stone, mud, gold, all as same. Because all three are Brahman alone with name and form which are mithya. So the 8th verse brings this samadarshanam with regard to the inanimate things, whereas the 9th verse brings about such a samadarshanam with things more closer to me emotionally, with animate things, which is more difficult. So several relationships are described. So suhurata, I'm sorry, the S is missing there. Suhurata is in any transaction, he is a well-wisher without conditions, whereas mitra is he is a well-wisher in any transaction, but he is a well-wisher because he is my friend. Ari is not my well-wisher because he is an enemy. And Udasina is neither, he is indifferent, is not a well-wisher or not against me. Madhyastha is a well-wisher of both in any transaction. And Dvesha doesn't like me in the transaction. And Bandhu is my well-wisher because he is my relative. Sadhu is a well-wisher because he is a noble person. So in all these, there are so many different emotions involved if you look at each of these words. But this person has a similar vision because he sees all of that as Brahman, because he is now Vijnana Triptatma, and he sees all the differences as Kevala Nama Rupa. Like Timapa sir says, he sees differences, but he does not differentiate. When you see I differentiate, that refers to raga and dvesha. Raga means I have a status where I believe a particular thing will give me purnatvam. And dvesha, I have a status where I believe something will remove my purnatvam. So this person is so full that he cannot have raga or dvesha to an external thing. So earlier we saw Brahma Satyam and Jagat Mithya giving this sense of Samadarshanam. We can also see it in terms of Purnatvam. So these are the goalpost verses which kind of promise where we can reach if I successfully take the meditation prescribed in this chapter. Now, very briefly about the Tattvabodha part, which kind of correlates to this, which is again in 3 segments. The first segment which will be dealt today. So we are seeing repeatedly that Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga gives me a prerequisite to take to Jnana Yoga. So Upasana Yoga therefore is a part of my getting the ticket for Jnana Yogyata Prapti. Upasana Yoga is described as a personality conditioning program, which we saw as self-integration or Jitatma in the equivalent Bhagavad Gita verses. So personality could be Panchakoshas, it could be Shariratrayam, but Swamiji divides in a very useful manner that we can see the personality as a physical personality, a verbal or speech personality, and mental. So in Sanskrit is Kayika, Vachika, and Manasa. And the segment of Kayika was picked for today's. So in this next slide, we have an overview. So as I said, there is Kayika, Vachika, Manasa. Vachika and Manasa will be covered in the subsequent classes. So now coming to Kayika, we need to have a clear understanding about this. So often the body is taken for granted. Even in material pursuits, I am busy in material pursuit and I neglect. Yeah, even as a scriptural student, I should not neglect my body. It is not just all about the mind. In fact, we have the Shanti mantras which clearly pray for a better body. So we have the from the Atharvana Veda, Om Bhadram Karne Beach, where there are lines on a better body. Thire Rangai is there. And in the Samaveda Shanti part, we have Om Apyayantu Mamangani. So these are all prayers for a better body. So it is important to have, because spiritual journey is a long process, and through that I need to have the help of my body. Therefore, I should not neglect it. At the same time, the other facet we should understand is we should not be too preoccupied with this. We should not pamper the body. We should not spend more time on getting the body ready than on the mind or the scriptural study, because this is just a means. This by itself cannot give liberation. So both these should be understood. And these can again be seen as maintenance of physical health through exercise, diet, and sleep. So with this, I will end this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sundar. Through upasana or meditation, we purify the mind, we calm the mind, and we attain the yoga or prapti. That is, we attain the qualification to go to the next level, that is Jnana Yoga. And when this same is needed, done for assimilation of the knowledge, it is called Nididyasana. Many of you must have seen the movie Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon. In that, the monk, his master, asks Bruce Lee, what is the best technique? He says, to know that there is no technique. And second question he asks, how to deal with the opponent, your worst enemy? He answers, there is no opponent, there is no enemy. The martial arts, especially the Indian and the Eastern martial arts, have deep-rooted philosophical origin. And the mastery is often divided into 3 levels. That is, the first level is to master the weapon. So you see in martial arts, they use just a stick, or some use only chain, or some use nothing but hand, like in karate, etc. then the first level of mastery is your whole body becomes weapon. It can be used to fight an enemy. And even the mind becomes the weapon. Through mind games, many a times you can control or defeat the enemy. The next level is when you attain the mastery over your heart. That is, just by the thought process or just by your heart, that there is no enemy. That itself, they say, changes the heart of the opponent. Will stop fighting. That is the second level. And third, the final one is beyond this. That is, there is no weapon, there is no enemy, because there is no I. When there is no I, there is no enemy. This is the real mastery. That is why even in, we learned, Sundar explained beautifully, that we need to have a fit body using something like yoga or any exercise or anything, or through moderation, the diet, food, etc. We need to have a good body. And next, we need to have a good mind through the meditation and many other processes. And we understand that there's no enemy. Your son is playing some rock music. When you know that he is no different from you, then you will understand why he is playing and what exactly, and that does not disturb. A bird chirping in the morning is not disturbed by its environment and other things. It just sings its songs. That is how the meditation is. But all this needs a practice. As we have learned, the mastery in any weapon or martial arts, you need to master it. As Sachin Tendulkar plays, not follows always some technique. Many a times you see him reverse it and that, and many techniques have been developed after seeing Sachin Tendulkar. That is mastery. An eagle does not look at some other bird and learns how to fly. It learns by itself, and that is mastery. But to attain this mastery, we need to prepare ourselves. For that, we have learned previously this class that what all the preparations we need, and subsequently we will learn the exact preparation we need to do the meditation, the dhyana swarupa, etc. And let us now recollect what all we have learned through the quiz. This has been put by Dr. Sandhya Ravi, Srimati Rama, and Srimati Sukanya. Srimati Rama will be conducting the quiz.
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Let us discuss on the topic so far learned today, as explained very well by Dr. Sundar. In the teaching quiz, the topics covered are Upasana Yoga from Tattvabodha and Bahiraṅga Sadhanas said in Bhagavad Gita verses 1 to 9, 16 and 17 from chapter 6. Now let's move on to the first question. Choose the suitable option. The course of discipline given to accomplish Purusharthas: Upasana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Upasana Yoga, Bhakti, Jnana, Samadhi Yoga, Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, Jnana Yoga.
The answer is D, ma'am. Karma, upasana, and Jnana Yoga.
Yes, very good. Karma Yoga gives Chitta Shuddhi, Upasana Yoga gives Jnana Yogyata, and Jnana Yoga gives the real knowledge. Moving on to the next slide. Karma Yoga is proper action, proper attitude, aiding inner growth, and all of the above.
D, all of the above, ma'am.
Yeah, correct. Next question is, 3 layers of our personality are gross, subtle, and causal bodies, waking, dreaming, and deep sleep states, Kayikam, Vachikam, and Manasikam, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya koshas.
It is C, Kayika, Vachika, and Manasika.
Yes, correct. And the next question is, meditation is not meant for, meditation is meant for liberation, preparation of the mind, mystic experiences, or knowledge.
I think it's preparation of the mind.
Oh yes, you guessed it. Right. Next, this round we have rapid fire round. You have to quickly answer true or false. Upasana yoga is also called Samadhi yoga. Samadhi yoga. True or false?
True.
Correct. The propriety of karma yoga is governed by its capacity for material accomplishments.
False.
Yes. Upasana yoga is the personality conditioning program.
True.
We have knowledge about our superficial personality as well as knowledge of our essential nature.
True.
Mental conditioning does not require physical conditioning.
False.
Upasana primarily means mental discipline and secondarily means physical and verbal disciplines also.
Yes, true.
Okay. The next question is match the following. Upasana, on the A side you have, A column you have Upasana, scriptures, Nididhyāsana and Karma Yoga. Assimilation of knowledge prepares the mind, keeping the mind in equipoise, mirrors of self-knowledge. Answer.
Nididhyāsana is assimilation of knowledge.
Okay.
Karma yoga is keeping the mind in equipoise.
Okay.
Upasana prepares the mind. And finally, scriptures are mirrors of self-knowledge.
Okay. Shri Krishna presents the entire spiritual journey in 3 stages: Upasana, Gnana Yoga, and Nididhyāsana. Here, as it's shown in this, Upasana prepares the mind, Gnana Yoga gives knowledge, Nididhyāsana is for assimilation of knowledge. Now, moving on to the Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, verses 1 to 9, 16 and 17, bahiraṅga sādhanāni. Among Karma Yogi, Brahmachari, Vanaprastha-shrami and Sannyasi who requires PO or T4, port is possession, obligation, responsibilities and transactions.
It is Karma Yogi.
Yes. Except him, all others are deported. Karma Yogi requires port because he needs infrastructure to perform Vedic rituals. So he needs port. Moving on to the next question from the verse 6.1. In this verse, karyam karma karoti. Here, karyam means vihita karmas, avoid nishiddha karma and perform nishkama karmas, perform panchamaha yagnas, all of the above.
D, all of the above, ma'am.
Yes. All the questions you have been answering very well. So nice. A karma yogi who performs karmas like panchamaha yagnas, focusing upon his inner growth, is also called a sannyasi, as referred in this shloka. Verse number 6.2. By way of glorifying a householder, indirectly Krishna glorifies karma yoga. This nyaya is referred to by Pujya Swamiji as dash. He glorifies one in order to criticize the other one. He glorifies in order to glorify one, he criticizes the other one.
Yeah, this is nahi ninda nyaya.
Yes, exactly. Here, the focus is not on criticism, but the focus is on the glorification. And in this verse, another important word is sankalpaha, which means obsession with future, like karma phala, etc. Moving on to the next question, 6.3 from the verse 6.3. Here, the word shamaha means what? What does the word shamaha indicate or implies?
Shamaha means withdrawal from the worldly pleasures.
Okay. Actually, in this context, it is withdrawal from karmas, focusing on shravana, manana, and nidhidhyāsana. A person practices karma yoga and gets gnana yogyata because he gets chitta shuddhi. Yoga Rudaha has accomplished integration of mind or sadhana chatushtaya sampattihi. he is only one step away from Nirvikalpaka Samadhi, this Yoga Rudha. Okay. The next question is from the verse 6.4. Here, Indriyartheshu karmasu anushajjate means free from obsession with sense pleasures, no craving or hatred for artha and kama, dropping the worry about future, all of the above.
D, all of the above.
Yes. He has achieved Chitta Shuddhi through Karma Yoga and developed dispassion towards tangible objects. He is not attached to the results of his actions. His ego is not in the driving seat and he knows that he is neither a karta nor a bhokta. In the next question from the verse 6.5, dash and dash are two factors that determine our future.
Fate and our karma? Or
No, fate and
free will. Okay.
free will, fate and free will. And in this verse, Bhagavan mentions the two opposing forces acting in the mind. They are the higher mind and the lower mind. The mind that is in partnership with the self is the higher mind. And the mind that is in partnership with the senses and their objects is the lower mind. These two are the forces that is acting on the mind. But these two factors, fate and free will, that will determine our future. And the next question is from 6.6 verse. Body-mind complex under my control is dash, and which is beyond my control becomes my own dash.
Is the first dash is the body-mind control, body-mind complex under my control is my friend, and which beyond my control becomes my own enemy.
Enemy, yes. This sixth verse projects the mind both as a friend and foe. As an enemy, the mind has no match. So it is absolutely crucial to have a well-disciplined mind to make the spiritual journey possible and succeed also in that. And moving on to the next question is a simple question. Kutastaha represents the quality of dash. Kutastaha means what?
I don't know, ma'am.
Kutastaha, consistency.
Okay.
Okay. A yogi has samabuddhi in loshta, ashma and kanchana, as mentioned in this verse. He sees the essential substance or essential undercurrent behind the plurality of nama and rupa bhedas and their bhedas. Okay. Moving on to the next one. In the verses, is a combined question. In the verses 8 and 9, samabuddhi towards loshta ashma kanchana and suhrun mitrar yudasinam, etc. 9 examples. It is mentioned. So it shows that a yogi has samadarshanam towards dash and dash with respect to loshta ashma kanchana. What is his samadarshanatvam? What does it indicate? And also surun mitrar yudasinam.
He has samadarshanam towards all material objects.
And then?
And okay.
Yeah. Achetana and Chetana Prapancha. Or Isha Srushti, that is the external world. Whatever is created external to us is Isha Srushti Brahmanda, and Jiva Srushti is what we have some relation with some people and things like that. And the last question for today is from the Shloka 17. For a sadhaka who is moderate in food, sleep and action, yoga becomes dash.
Samatvam?
The clue is in the shloka itself. Yogo bhavati.
Dukhaha.
Dukhaha, yes. So the moderation in consumption of food, sleep is the key word that should govern anyone's sadhana. This moderation results in dukkhaha. Dukkhaha means destruction of deepest sorrow, sorrow of all sorrows. can you please tell me what is sorrow of all sorrows, deepest sorrows?
Samsara.
Yes, samsara. Yes, you are right. Enlightenment brings an end to the deepest sorrow. Deepest sorrow, being deluded about the world and to take repeated births. That is, you are going to be in the cycle of birth and death always. That is what it is. And today, maybe possibly I will explain with another slide, eligibility for deep meditation. Let me try to explain the eligibility for deep meditation as explained by Swamiji with reference to milestones. The entire spiritual journey can be presented in 3 stages, namely upāsana, jnana yoga, and nidhidhyāsana. Upāsana prepares the mind, jnana yoga gives knowledge, and nidhidhyāsana is for assimilation of dhyānam. Samatvam is karma yoga and is one of the preconditions required for deep meditation, which is also called Samadhi. The seekers pass through 4 milestones on their journey for self-realization as their goal, using meditation as a sadhana. The 4 types of seekers mentioned in the earlier verses are karma yogi, arurukshaha, yoga yuktaha, and yoga rodhaha. Eligibility for deep meditation or samadhi is described referring to these milestones as shown in this slide. The verses 4 to 6 cover milestones 1 and 2. The verse 7 considers milestone 3 and 4. The 4th milestone qualifies a sadhaka for deep meditation. In the milestone 1, a karma yogi is represented as a sadhaka. He is neither expecting nor attached to the results of his action. His ego is not in the driving seat and knows that he is neither a doer nor an experiencer, as described in the verse karmasu na anushajyate. Milestone 2 is a sadhaka as a arurukshaha. In the verse 6.3, a karma yogi is termed as arurukshaha, that is, one who is striving to climb up the ladder of yoga. He has achieved chitta shuddhi through karma yoga and developed dispassion towards tangible objects. Therefore, he is ready for self-knowledge. And it is described in the 4th verse as indriyartheshu na anushajyate. Then moving on to the milestone 3, sadhaka as yoga yuktaha. In the verse 6.7, the word samahitaha implies yoga yuktaha, indicating that he is harmonized by yoga. Paramatma samahitaha means yoga yuktaha or well placed with the Lord. He attains self-knowledge or jnana. When jnana is put into practice, it becomes vijnana, resulting in wisdom. At this stage, a karma yogi or a sadhaka or arurukshaha has reduced activities. Milestone 4 says sadhaka as yoga rudhaha. Verse number 7 says that a jitatma is one who has self-mastery or samadhana because of well-developed endurance conquering the mind. Prashantatva is complete mental calmness. Jitatmatva and prashantatva are necessary for samahitatva. That is, if one is jitatma and has self-mastery, then alone he can enjoy prashantatva, that is supreme peace. The yoga rudhaha is one step away from nirvikalpaka samadhi, which is God realization or self-realization. Then he becomes a sthira prajnaha, reaching milestone 5, and that is the goal of deep meditation. Sri Krishna presents 3 examples of samahita bhava in graded sequence of difficulty. They are physical discomfort, shita ushna, heat and cold, mental discomfort, pleasures and pain, sukha and dukkha, deepest discomfort to the ego, that is honor and dishonor, mana, apamana. And this this yogi remains unshaken by the blasts of pairs of opposites. This completes the description of the qualities seen in those who are eligible for deep meditation. Now, very commonly, Sri Krishna uses the word yuktaha. Yuktaha. So now let us see how yoga yuktaha or samatvam is mentioned by Sri Krishna in different contexts. To become a yoga rudaha, he has to be yoga yuktaha. Sri Krishna uses the word yuktaha to define a yogi. Samatvam or samadarshanam, which is also known as yoga yuktaha, are all synonyms. Pujya Swami Akhandananda Saraswati analyzes the beauty of the word yuktaha in different facets. The first meaning of yuktaha is samatvam is freedom from raga and dvesha or likes and dislikes. Gita verse 5.23 says, Shaknoti haiva yaha sodhum praksharira vimokshana kama krodhodbhavam vegam sa yuktaha sa sukhi naraha. Sa yuktaha. Yuktaha generally means steadfast, attained, or connected with, in this context, it is connected with the Lord. A person who is able to withstand the turmoils of anger, greed, and lust in this life itself, he is called yuktaha. He remains steady in spiritual life, then such a person is also called yuktaha. That is, the ability to manage one's anger and lust, or likes and dislikes, raga, dvesha, which are born out of past samskara. He is also a yuktaha. One who can manage his anger and greed and lust, that person is called a yuktaha. A deeper meaning of yuktaha is seen in the Gita verse 4.18, a very popular shloka, the verse. Here also in the fourth quarter, it says yuktaha. Yuktaha is a person who does not identify himself with body and mind. In this context, it is said he is not attached to anatma. Wise person who realizes inaction in action and action in inaction is a yuktaha. A person who knows that he is neither a karta nor a bhokta is a yuktaha. So he is not the experiencer or also. He witnesses all the activities as a sakshi in the light of the consciousness. In the screen and the movie example, from the perspective of the screen, no action happens. That is, akarma is seen. He sees every action happening on the screen and sees the movie also. He knows he is aware that it is a movie. This is the second meaning of yuktaha. That is, he is always has the vision of consciousness. And moving on to the next meaning, yuktaha is equanimity. In the Gita verse 6.18, which says, Nispruhaha sarva kamebhyo yuktaha ityuchyate tada. That is, when the mind remaining fixed in the self, free from craving for material benefits, then he is a yuktaha. Yuktaha is immersed in the consciousness in deep meditation and no longer sees the movie. Withdrawing the senses, focusing and turning the mind into the radiance of the pure consciousness, he is a yukta and he enjoys the bliss. This is the third meaning. And in the 8th verse of this chapter, 6.8, we can see the deepest meaning of the word yuktaha. One who can immerse himself in the real self or samadhi, as well as realize that reality in the world everywhere, he is a yuktaha. He sees brahmatva everywhere. Sarvatra brahma darshanam. He experiences the same divinity or the consciousness everywhere. He has developed dispassion for the objective world and gets pulled more towards the consciousness. Verses 8 and 9 shows that yoga yuktaha has samadarshanam towards achetana and chetana prapancha. He develops dispassion towards both Isha Srushti and Jiva Srushti. The 8th verse says, Loshta Ashma Kanchanaha, he has Samadrushtihi, Samadarshanaha, a lump of earth, stone, and gold, all look same for him because he knows that they are all appearances like the dream objects. Samabuddhihi Vishishyate is said in the verse 9. Here, 9 types of individuals, as explained by Dr. Sundar, are mentioned in this verse. Each one having a unique relationship with the aspirant concerned. This is the Samatva Buddhi of Karma Yoga in practice. That is, he is putting the Karma Yoga into practice for a very long time. Such equal vision qualifies one to be a Yoga Yuktaha. Verses 8 and 9 shows that a Yoga Yuktaha has Samadarshanam towards Achetana and Chetana Prapancha. He develops, as I said earlier, dispassion towards Isha Srushti and Jiva Srushti. A Yoga Yuktaha looks at the true nature of everyone and every object as the Atma Swarupam. This is the 4th meaning of the word Yuktaha. Thank you. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Continuing our study of the most important Vedantic chapter, Purushottama Yoga, in our upcoming 114th session of Bhagavad Gita, verse by verse, we shall cover verses 6 to 10. In this important 6th verse, Krishna defines Brahman as the all-pervading consciousness, Chaitanya Swarupa Brahman, which can objectify everything, but which itself can never be objectified by any means. From 7th verse onwards, Krishna introduces 2 important topics to show that Brahman alone appears in the form of everything, just like gold alone appears as varieties of ornaments. Similarly, Brahman alone appears in the form of the universe. This is called Sarvatmakatvam. For the sake of convenience, the entire universe is divided into 2 parts, the Chetana Jivas, the sentient beings, and the Achetana Prapancha, the insentient objects. From verses 7 to 11, Krishna says Brahman alone is in the form of Jiva. To understand this clearly, do remember to join us on Friday, 9th September at 6:45 p.m. Friends, on behalf of Param Vedanta, I would like to express a hearty thanks first to all our participants for joining us for today's session. To Srimati Pannaga Prasad for chanting and explaining the divine shloka. To Dr. Kiran for giving us the introduction as well as for highlighting important aspects of today's topics. To Dr. Sundar, sir, for your excellent presentation supported by illustrative, excellent slides. To Srimati Rama Gopal Krishna, Srimati Sukhanya Narayan, and Dr. Sanjay Ravi for a wonderful and educative teaching quiz. Friends, that brings us to an end of today's another wonderful session. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.